This is the Throttle Out Show, presented by Vixen Industries, the only show where monster truck drivers and mechanics come together to present what's happening in the monster truck community. It's the ultimate combination of torque, horsepower, and trash talk. And now for your host. First, straight out of the heart of Detroit Rock City, it's Kid Rock's neighbor and former driver of the VKT ride truck. It's Austin Spence. And the duo deep in the heart of Texas, it's the show owner and daughter of a man who conquered the industry for over 20 years. It's Harley Johnson, along with everyone's favorite Bryce Kenny lookalike, Austin Tweedy. So go ahead, fuel up, strap in, and remember, when in doubt, throttle out.
This is Wheels Up Wednesday. What's up, everybody? Austin Tweedy here, Harley Johnson, and we're ready to get down and dirty tonight.
I apologize for everybody watching tonight. I don't know what that was about.
Nobody knew I was doing that.
Spence, do you know what that was about?
Thank you, Tweety. I lost a little bit of my hearing for that. Thanks for the warning, bud.
I can see BJ in the back going nuts right now.
Anyway, yeah, what's going on, guys?
Hey, you know what? We're going to have a damn good time tonight. We got somebody been wanting to come on the show, air out some dirty laundry. We're good at doing that over here. I think we should go ahead and bring them on.
Let's bring him on. Let's do it.
Man, no eardrums at all. No eardrums at all.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you're welcome.
No,
You're welcome.
no coffee, no energy drinks, none of that before we go on. We had that discussion before you ever started.
Just the 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper is what I got right
He
now.
does
baby.
not listen to us at all.
Mm.
Oh, my gosh.
So, BJ,
Hi,
you've
guys.
been watching our
Hi.
shows. You've been watching our shows. You've been seeing. We've been airing out some dirty laundry here in recent past. We got the kickoff show, and you got some stuff you wanted to discuss, and that kind of struck a chord with something we said Sunday night, talking about some old Bigfoot rivalry stuff going on back in the day. But hey, before we get started, I want to give a very special shout out to Drew Harris, who we got to hang out with the night before the show. We're used to hanging out with him out in Anaheim, California, but they live here in Rockwall, Texas, just right down the road from us. Of all places they could have moved, they chose Rockwall. So we got to hang out with them, and thank you, Drew, for watching our show, being a fan of the sport, getting to know you and your family. Man, they're just great.
Yeah, they really are. It was so funny, them just being right behind where we live at the baseball field for his baseball game today. It was so good seeing him, a familiar face in the monster truck community for sure.
With his Max D helmet on.
With his Max D helmet on. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I can definitely tell he's about to go out there and kick some butt tonight. He was pumped up. It was like the first game of the season, I think, for them. So I'm sure he'll do good. So, like I said, we've been stirring some stuff up over here. We've been getting a lot of attention. And do you want to start with the story that we were talking about Sunday night, or you want to start with something else, man?
No, it doesn't matter. I don't care. So the first thing I will say, so I've thought about it. I've watched every one of your guys' shows, and I've always got some bad comment I've got to say about something. So I figured tonight, if we're just going to lay it on the line and actually let people know what really goes on in the monster truck world, we just won't say any drivers' names. We might say their truck, or we might just say maybe the state that they're in. It just depends on how deep we get into a story or something. But some of them are still really good friends, and some people I never were their friends. So I'd always tell them, I've got friends. I'm not here to make friends. So we can do it either any way. I just know that I'm always the guy that puts my foot in my mouth sometimes, and I'm pretty blunt. I'm going to tell you like it is. So if you don't like it, you probably just don't watch. But if you guys really want to know, then you better stay tuned in, because I don't even care. We're going to discuss some things.
Yeah, but you kind of made a living doing that, though, right? Haters made you famous.
That's right. When Craig hired me years ago, and I first started out in the industry, that was the thing. I got hired to be the bad guy. I got hired to be the one to run my mouth on the microphone and have everybody hate me. I couldn't tell you how many beers and hot dogs and popcorn I got thrown at. I remember getting hit inside of the head with a beer can in Red Bluff, California at a show, just because I was bad-mouthing the Bigfoot trucks. It was what it is. At the end of the night, when no one was there, they didn't realize I was out there helping them, or they were helping us. Everybody behind the scenes was one thing, but if it come time, I had so we'll just do it this way. I had a Yakima, Washington driver so mad at me, he didn't talk to me for a year, and actually said that he wouldn't do shows if I was there. And the promoter said I was going to be there no matter what. So it was a pretty bad deal for a little while. And now we're great friends. We've always been good friends after that. After I actually had to sit him down, a very big veteran of the sport, and be like, hey, man, this is all just for fans. You know, it's a sport. We love doing what we're doing, but it's for the crowd. It's entertainment. You know, it's the same old thing. Oh, look, the trucks jump in the cars. And there's 12 of them like that. And it's just like, man, after a while it gets old. But when someone comes out and everybo's pissed off, it's like, man, I can't stand this guy. You know, then I'm winning, and that makes it even worse. So, you know, it always worked out that way. I love sitting and reading some of the comments, too. Some of the chat stuff that pops up on here. Pablo dude needs to get a life and get off of this thing. And
Yeah, apparently you're
Apparently
chatting it up.
you're on here too, as well.
I do. I was just checking right before I go to bed, and I'm like, yeah, what can I do? Usually I try to make sure it's when it's supposed to say in towns.
Yeah, that's everybody's favorite part of the show now. That's a good
It is.
segment.
Yeah, Sunday you guys were talking about like rivalries, and we used to play a lot of like practical jokes on each other, and it got worse and worse. And I mean, we're talking years of traveling down the road, and man, some of that stuff, it just kept getting worse and bad, and hotel rooms getting destroyed and rental cars. And it got real bad to the point when I was telling you that I got pretty much banned from the Bigfoot shop. And it was a big joke, and Bob Chandler and I are good friends afterwards. But I mean, it got pretty heated. It got pretty bad. It cost a lot of money to a lot of people. So
Why is that? Explain that story in great detail for those who are tuning in tonight that didn't hear our podcast Sunday night.
okay, so when I drove the barefoot truck and had my teammate with me, like I said, I'm not going to say names. I'm going to throw everybody under the bus tonight, name wise. I had my teammate with me, and I worked for Paul Schaefer. Everybody knows driving barefoot. We had the DuPont semi. So if you ever saw the canary yellow, hot pink, purple hot rod truck, that was ours. That's what we traveled. We changed it around. We could do it. So we did lots of shows with Bigfoot Boys. I mean, to the point, it was ridiculous. It was always us at every single show. And if it wasn't one driver, it was another driver. We always had that truck there. And like I said, all of us got along. So then it started out as I put toilet paper on the back of somebody's truck when they were going out to ride wheelies or something. And then it went from like having a 4-foot piece to having a 20-foot piece. And then it was like paper towel rolls. And then I had popcorn put in my exhaust pipes before you fire the truck up and blows popcorn everywhere. Then you smell burnt popcorn. If you ever had burnt popcorn, it's horrible. You smell that the whole entire show. And then it started getting worse and worse and worse. So, and we knew it was the St. Louis boys, and we were the Pontoon Beach, Illinois boys. We were only 10 miles from each other. And it got to where I was like, man, I can't see the track. Like, what is going on? They put Vaseline all over my window. And like, it was getting, like, the dust was stuck to it and whatever. I ended up just kicking the windshield out because I couldn't see where I was going. So we did a show together, all of us, and we had a lot of adult beverages that night, like way more than we should have. And the next morning, we all had to go. We were in Washington. We all had to go towards California. And we knew we were going to split up halfway down or whatever. So we partied all night long, and I mean all night long. And I walked out to the semi, and we just jumped in the passenger side and got in. You know, we didn't even worry about going to the driver's side. So we didn't DOT check nothing. We just jumped in the thing. We were going to leave. And I looked at my teammate, and I said, dude, there's no way I could drive. Like, I'm not legally supposed to be driving right now. I need to go sleep for a while. And he had went to bed early, so I was like, okay. I said, why don't you get us down the road for a little bit? So we took off, and we come into Oregon, and we had to go through the scale house. And we rolled through the scale house, and the curtains come flying open on the rig, and he's in a mad panic telling me, dude, he says, I just got stopped at the scale, and I went inside, showed the paperwork, everything was good. When I came back out, there's an empty half-gallon of Jack Daniels bottle hanging out of our fuel tank that someone had.
Oh.
And we drove through the scale house like that. And they didn't say nothing. So I'm like, dude, we just need to go. And how you had the truck parked, you kind of parked it up on an angle. You walked out the front, came back to the front. So we take off, got down the road a little bit, and we both realized that we just were not capable to be driving. I couldn't drive. So he goes, man, why don't we just pull over and stop? Maybe 5 hours down the road. We sleep, take off, keep rolling. We're all the way to California, and it was my turn to drive. The sun's coming up, and all these people are driving by honking. And I'm just kind of looking over at them, and people are honking, and they're waving, and then some people are honking and flipping us off. And I'm like, what is going on right now? I was like, dude, they've been honking at you all night? And he's like, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. It's just every once in a while. So I was just like, man, something just doesn't make sense. But let's just get up here. We're going to stop and eat. You know, we're better now. And I comes across the CB and it says, "Hey, DuPont, you got it on." And I look up at the CB and I said, "Yeah, man, what's going on?" He goes, "Hey, dude, you really need to pull that semi over and look at the back doors."
Oh,
I knew-
shit.
No.
I knew right then. I was like, "Oh God!" I was like, "Oh no, where is this going to be bad?" So we pull off the side of the road real quick. We run to the back, and there's the biggest black duct tape swastika I've ever seen on the back of a semi.
Oh,
And you got me completely covered in tattoos and a mohawk. And the other door says, "Honk if you support gay truckers." Now, I'll just say this now. I don't care what your race is. I don't care what your sexual preference is, anything like that. Like, I'm not bashing anybody, but this is on the back of my rig, okay? We've went 3 states now, and I couldn't tell you how many people saw this thing. So we pull it off on the side of the road, and we take off. And I said, I know exactly who it is. I'm like, they live in St. Louis, Missouri. I know exactly who these boys are. So we don't say a word. We go to the next show and don't say nothing to them. And they're just like, "Hey, man, how was your guys' trip down here?" And I said, "Oh, it was horrible, hungover, whatever." Didn't say nothing. And about a month goes by.
A month.
A month.
About a month goes by, and we just laid low. Nobody was playing a joke. Nobody was doing nothing. And we did a show in Charlotte. And we Saturday, Sunday show. Sunday it rained. Did the show, got done, and one of the Bigfoot boys said, "Hey, man, if we get these trucks washed and get them loaded, we can get on the road in the morning, but let's go to Hooters and go watch a NASCAR race and blah, blah, blah." I said, "Yeah." And the way my brain worked, I went like this. "Hey, man, my pressure washer is kind of messed up. Can I borrow yours? And I'll put it back in your trailer." He says,
Here we
"Yeah,
go.
man, absolutely."
Here we go.
I said, "Okay." So we helped him wash his truck. We tired ours down. We fixed mine because I'd crashed it. And I said, "Why don't you go to Hooters and get us a table?" So he leaves with his semi open. And I tell my teammate, I say, "You see that forklift over there? Go grab it." He said, "Why?" I said, "I need to go on the roof." And he's like,
no.
"For what?" And I said, "Look, they have a whole bunch of duct tape in the toolbox." So I grabbed all the duct tape. I went up on the roof, and I was up there duct taping, and I told him, I said, "Just whatever you do, keep washing, and make some noise or something if somebody comes back. I'm just going to lay up here." So I get it all done, and I tell him to get me back down to the trailer. He asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "You'll figure it out. Like, I don't want you part of this." And he goes, "Well, I'm your teammate. I want to be a part of it." So there was a water tower there, and he crawled the water tower and took a picture. 53-foot Bigfoot trailer that says, "I'm gay" on the roof.
Gosh.
As wide as I could do it, as much duct. I think it was like 9 rolls of duct tape on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
We go to Hooters. We have a good time that night, party down, whatever. Leave next morning, and we're all rolling towards Atlanta. And as you're doing the rolling hill thing, we made sure we followed him. So when the truck would go up, we could see the roof. And we were just dying laughing. Oh yeah, you could see it. You couldn't miss it. And so then he comes across the CB and he goes, "Hey man, something came up. I've got a detour back towards the shop. You're going to catch up with one of the other guys." So we're like, "All right." And my teammate goes, "Should we tell him?" Nah. He'll figure it out.
No
He'll
way.
figure it out. So he rolled back to the shop in St. Louis and did whatever. And I don't know, it was a couple weeks go by. I get a phone call from him, mad. Okay, mad. And he says, "I suggest you don't come to the shop." And that came from Chandler. And I'm like, okay. They pretty much found it. Didn't know the story, didn't know what was going on. Went to the next show, and one of their trucks were there. And the driver came up and he goes, "Hey, man," he says, "this is bad. You need to stay away from our trailer. You're not allowed to be by our truck. You're pretty much banned from anything owned by Chandler." And I was like, "What's going on?" And he says, "Well, we ended up going to Firestone to do a big display with every semi, every truck."
Oh, shit.
And they went way upstairs so they could get a picture of the parking lot, have all the trucks and all the semis in one spot. And I think like the CEO or like a big shot at Firestone, the one that saw it first. So, you won't believe this, but it gets better. So they went up there and they took it off. Now it's been on there for a month in the middle of summer. They pulled all the duct tape off and all the sticky was up there. So then you had a sticky version of it because all the dirt stuff. Then they went up there with brake clean and brake cleaned it off. And then you had a shiny spot because they polished it. So then what I was told, and I'm not really for sure if it really did happen or not because I was not allowed to be there. They sent someone up there to try to buff the roof and fell off the top of the trailer and it got hurt or something like that with the thing. So they reskinned it or they recoated it or something like that. So me being me, we let it go for a while. And a couple of the big shots at Foot were kind of like talking to us about some stuff on the road and whatever. And he says, hey, we got a truck that we need some help on. Can you guys come to the shop? And I said, well, am I allowed at the shop? And they said, yeah, you're actually allowed at the shop. They said, but, Chandler will be gone. And I was like, okay. So we went to the shop. Well, just so happens he was there. So as I walk in, button back of the arm, and looked right at me, and he says, I played practical jokes, and I've always been the king of practical jokes throughout the industry, and no one will ever beat what you just did. He says, now I give you the reins, you're the king. And I said, okay, and that meant a lot. So of course I got to take it one step further. So we always went to their Christmas party. They always invited us to Christmas because we helped them out. They helped us out. Sure. We barbecued, hung out all the time. Well, I had that picture at the top of that semi that we took blown up to a poster and had it framed, and actually gave it to Bob Chandler at Christmas so he could hang it in his office. And it was always a big joke there for a while, and it was there for a long time. And I'll never know what happened with it, but yeah, that one was pretty bad.
I remember seeing that at Paul Schaefer's shop at the Junkyard, man. Like as a kid, I'm like, man, that's actually I'm like fourth grade, right? I'm like, this is actually fucking hilarious. As a kid, I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah, we were always playing practical jokes on. For some reason, Red Bluff, California, that show was like, you didn't ever turn your back. Like you never left your truck. You had to be very careful walking out of the hotel rooms. Mm-hmm. Some of the Paxton, Illinois guys, or you want to say the Kill Devil Hills guys, would either like tie your door to the railing where you couldn't get the door open, or let's see, what was another good one? They put a trash can half full of water against the door, and when you knock on the door, when you open the door up, there'd be like 15 gallons of water go across your hotel room floor. I mean,
yeah, but it's like with the Bigfoot thing, though, man. It's like you have to realize how important Firestone used to. I don't know anymore how important they are to them, but they were so crucial in bringing Bigfoot up and the team that they became. So the fact that actually happened and went on as long as it did, that is monumental, man. Like, yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, there was times I remember shooting a water truck at someone as they opened the hotel room door, and I guess it blew them all the way to the bathroom on the other side of the hotel room. Yeah, I was reading Jacob Smallwood's comment from earlier. But yeah, dude, they were like Cody popping in. I mean, I don't know how many bags of popcorn they put in Tom Manson semi, because a lot of guys know about that one. The popcorn in those straight stacks that Peter built. But I had it done on the monster truck, and it smells like burnt popcorn for like 4 days. Like it's horrible. Yeah. But it was fun. You know, we had a really good time with it. Like I said, Red Bluff usually got a little more out of control than normal. I mean, there was a lot of rental cars destroyed, and they were given to us by the dealerships. I mean, that was even worse. That it wasn't like from budget. Like if I ran a Ford flag on the back of Captain Insano, then Ford would give me a car while I was there. Well, when I would take it back, it barely ran. It had square wheels, and the rims were bent, you know, and the doors were shut. But they knew we were going to do it. They're just like, oh, man, we just want you to drive our truck around while we're here. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well. And I literally drove one time for like 2 or 3 days, and then actually was like, hey, can I get another set of tires put on this thing? Because it would just roast the tires all the way down the road. And, of course, we're going to do it because we were just out of control monster truck guys. But we had a lot of fun doing it. There used to be a lot of fun years ago. And everybody starts growing up, and then it starts costing more money, and promoters are getting upset, and it can go way too far sometimes. But I know some promoters that have paid for hotel rooms because they flooded the upstairs hotel room into the bottom hotel room. And when we pulled up there, it looked like Niagara Falls running from the second floor down into the first one. So, yeah, it was some bad stuff there, but it was fun, you know. And the worst part is we never got in trouble for it. And I think that's why we just kept doing it. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, you know. So a lot of stuff like traveling down the road. And I mean, even with a bunch of us that ran for Feld, when we drove the semis, it was still just like we were the Wild Wild West guys. And there was 8 Feld rigs running down the road. It was as fast as them things would go. And if you could pass somebody, it might have took 15 miles to do it, but we did it just so you were ahead of the next person. I know some of those guys that have turned too early in the truck stopper, cut one of them off and took a fender off of it. So when you have two trucks that take the fenders off from the same company, that's pretty sweet. But nobody gave up. No one gave up. No one's giving in.
You want
you
to pin
talking
that
about this
comment
company?
real quick? What? Remember the ride you gave a police officer?
Oh man, that's from my mom too. So Red Bluff, we did a bunch of stuff with the DARE program and whatever else, and so they would, if anybody's seen, I don't know if they do it anymore, but how Red Bluff used to always bring the drivers in. They'd have a bunch of the dealership trucks. They'd bring them in, maybe one driver in a car, two drivers in the car, announce them, set fireworks off. Like, it was always a spectacular show there. So I did one night, and they said, "Hey, will you ride out with the DARE truck?" I said, "Absolutely, I'll ride out with him." So as we were riding out there, and I said, "Man, I thought we were going to ride in the Camaro," because they had this nice Camaro. The guy's like, "Man, we'll do that tomorrow." And I said, "Man, don't let me down. Like, if you come out there with the Camaro, you better, like, come in hot." I'm like, "It's a cop car. Like, we want to come in so people know." And he says, "Well, I don't know if I can do that." And I said, "Well, I can." And he looked right at me, and he says, "Well, then you can drive." I'm like,
Here we go.
"Absolutely." Because you come in, you get out of the car and you wave and you get back in the car and you leave. I said, "I got it. Don't worry about it." Even the promoter's looking at me like, "Hey, remember what you're driving." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, that's it." So I don't know how fast I was going when I came into the arena and slid that thing sideways, but it worked out perfect. I was like Smokey and the Band, like pulled it sideways, had the door open, flew right out of the door, was waving, the crowd went crazy. Well, as I got back into the car, he looked right at me and he goes, "I thought we would go a little faster." I don't think he realized that you don't tell me
Invitation.
that. Yeah, and so I just decided to start blowing donuts in the middle of the arena before I left. And they were already bringing the next drivers out. And we were still blowing donuts out in the middle of the arena before we went back. And I don't think he could have hung onto that door handle and the dash any tighter than that thing. But it was getting it. And that red limiter in that car was a lot of RPMs more than I thought it would do. So if there was any cobwebs inside that thing, it wasn't when I was done with it.
So, unless you get ready to roll into another story here, I want to ask you a question. So, with what we've been talking about here the last few weeks, obviously Monster Jam has given us a lot to talk about the last few weeks. It's basically been like the Monster Jam talk show around here.
Yeah.
But
That's horrible.
what do you think
It is.
with some of these drivers coming out? They're going to be filling seats. They've never been piloting before. Some of these schedules. I mean, what's your opinion sitting back, seeing everything now? I mean, what are your 2 cents on all this?
All right. So my 2 cents, whether people like it or not, it's been going on for too long. My personal opinion, there's a lot of drivers, and they can take it for what it's worth. They do not belong in them trucks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drivers that are point and shoot drivers. There's a lot of drivers that are pretty, or they talk good, or they have 500 million followers on something and they got a ride. Or maybe they served a good dinner to somebody that's a higher up that hires and fires people. So
Dinner.
yeah. So I think like the old school guys, and I never consider myself that, but I guess I am now. We had to work our way to get to where we were at. So we were the ones working on the truck. So when I blew a third member up, I knew at the end of the night I had to get done, sign autographs, and fix that truck for the next show. They roll in with their pretty little bags, and they set all their stuff down, and they make a mess of the trailer when the crew guys are all trying to work. And they really don't care. They're there for a paycheck. They don't really care about nothing. I'm not saying they don't care about their fans, because they do. But they don't take care of equipment. So to me, being a guy that built trucks, worked on trucks, and I know there's a few guys, and even crew, I was still a crew guy. That's very disrespectful is how I see it. And jumping from truck to truck to truck, if a lot of people don't realize, all the Monster Jam trucks or cookie cutters are the same thing. The only thing different about a grade bigger truck is the color, and the cage is 8 inches taller and about 5 inches narrower. It's the same truck. It's the same motor. It's the same everything. Anybody can get in there and drive them if they drove one of them. The skill part of that is if you've drove one, you can drive them all, and they all drive the same way, and it's just like jumping in a rental car, the same rental car every single night. Going from truck to truck to truck, which some of the drivers have been doing, including myself, you can't just jump in someone else's truck, one, and tear their equipment up, and two, you can't just jump in it and think that you are the superstar there, where if you're at that show, you better know if you're the superstar or not, because that's how everybody's getting in trouble right now. And I witnessed it myself a couple weeks with them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know which direction I want to go after
I
hearing
don't
that.
know.
You're the one that brought it up, man. Come
Yeah.
on. This is on you, Tweety.
I'm trying to do this without saying names. That's it. That's all the direction I'm trying to go here, BJ.
You don't even have to. I mean, BJ laid it all out there. We can already visualize who does and doesn't deserve to be in a seat whatsoever.
I mean, is that where we want to go with this?
I mean, we can, but I mean, you can just tell who does and doesn't deserve to be in a seat. Honestly,
I can, and I can honestly tell you too, and being honest, it's not just a hell driver. I've seen independent guys that put guys in there, and they're the nicest people in the world. Guys or girls, nicest people in the world. They're great to hang out with. They're great to work on the trucks, and you just sit back there like, what are you doing? Like, what are you even doing in that cab right now? It's like, like, so thankful for the guy that's got a radio in his hand right now because you have no clue what's going on. Like, riding a wheelie too far, or they're going to blow a donut until they just shut them down because they're just like, yeah, I don't really know where I'm at. If I get close to the wall, they'll shut me off. That goes for any show. I've seen too many little backyard shows, which are cool. There's something different. There's too many backyard shows that I still think are a little sketchy. That's all I can say. They're a little promoters. I've done so many shows. Promoters get too money hungry.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we can do this, we can do that. The drivers won't do this. Dude, you put that helmet on, I got a wall full of them back there. Every one of them just a little bit too small and shuts my brain off when I'm in that truck. And I'm just like, especially me, if you told me not to do something, I'm going to push the limits and try it. And I know I shouldn't do that because it might be unsafe, but it's like, well, if I just pop and drop the thing because I'm not supposed to jump that way, I'll be the only truck that does it. It's like, man, sometimes like safety needs to come before money. Like the whole deal of, like, we ain't bashing people, but the whole deal of I'm going to do a show and we're going to do another one a week later, that has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have done shows with guys that were like, hey, man, can you guys change your schedule and come in a week early because we're just going to do this show a week early because they're right here. That way we don't take our money away for the following week. I'm just like, no, man, for one, we're scheduled out. But two, I feel the fans are the ones that are getting the raw end of that deal. Because now they're going to a show and they're like, well, man, there's another one going on just right down the road. Maybe we should go to that. Well, stuff happens in between the weeks. It's life. People have other things come up. So if they miss this show to go to this show and then something comes up and they can't go to that show, now they missed the show completely. Now you have a bunch of little snot-nosed kids, mad, crying, whining. They didn't get to see a truck. But it's life because baby mom and dad have to work. Yeah. Everyone needs to take a step back with it and be like, this is not a sport as far as NASCAR or NHRA.
Bingo.
They are not NHRA and NASCAR guys that I know. They are not doing it for the end of the day. It's a bonus, but they do it for sponsors. The sponsors are paying them to be there, to making all their money, to have it on their haulers and all that other stuff. Monster trucks are entertainment.
Yeah.
If people don't know, racing's racing. There's really no laying down in racing. It's the guy upstairs calling it, and you got to beat some trucks by like 10 truck lengths, and they might still call that truck, or you're just going to race and see how it ends up. Freestyle, I was a company guy. Give me a number 1 to 10. If you want me to drive like a 1, 3, 4, or 5, I'll go do what I need to do, fill my time, park it. If I need to set the bar, give me a 6, 7, 8. Hey, man, if I got no rules, 9 or 10. We got it every single weekend. Every company driver gets it. You're told how to drive in freestyle. And it's not because of this person can't do this person can't do that. It's like, no, we're not selling this shirt, but we are selling this shirt. We need to sell a ticket for next year. We're going to bring this truck back, or, hey, let's fill the bar. Everybody's been crashing. I couldn't tell you how many shows I went to and I freestyled first. Normally drove off the track. Well, now all of a sudden that changed. I was going out 3rd and 4th because the first two were point and shoot, Jesus take the wheel type drivers, and they wouldn't fill their time. So now they had to have someone fill their time, and they sent me out later on. A lot of people, oh, why don't you crash the truck for me? 1, you don't work on it. 2, you don't own it. You don't sign my paycheck. And 3, everybody else is crashing. I can't drive it off. I feel more of a professional driver that I can run the ragged edge, do what I need to do, and bring it back in one piece. Maybe missing the hood. For some reason, I never had a hood on my truck. But
yeah, the hood would always go for some reason.
It was always the hood on every truck I ever drove.
Yeah.
but like these guys fighting over money and stuff, it's like, look, if you've got the scheduled date, some people need to man up, call a promoter that you know, and be like, hey, man, you got a show going on that weekend? Yeah. Bite the bullet and say, man, I'm going to do one a month later. or I'm going in a month early. Everyone needs to work together to make money and keep this what it is. Everybody starts fighting over it. The fairgrounds, the speedways, and all the other little podunk places, I ain't gonna do shows no more because they're tired of everybody fighting. Because this person will do it for 5,000, this one will do it for 4, this one will do it for 3. But then you get down in lower money, you're not getting big name trucks. Every truck is a truck. Every truck will do the same thing. It's how hard they want to run it and how big the pocketbook is the guy that owns it. So they're like the whole thing I seen a week ago of them fighting over a show. Both of them need to grow a set and call each other and figure it out so they both make money. It's like,
I
man,
think
come on.
I think there's something a lot more going on there that maybe those guys don't want to communicate with each other at all. So they are going to do everything they can to step on each other's toes. That's just from what I'm picking up on social media, reading stuff, right? Nobody's
I'll tell
feeding
you-
anything.
I'll tell you 2 promoters that no longer promote, but they were big time promoters back when I drove. Was Terry Dickerson, Texas-based guy, and Jim Morris, which was I don't know where he was from, or no one ever knew what he was from. Them 2 would cut each other's throats and run for nothing and run for free and tickets this and that and other and trucks and we're gonna go do a display. Where's the display at? Oh, it's in Amarillo. Like, well, our show's in El Paso. Yeah, but we got to promote our show over there so they don't go to this show. And it was like, if you want to pay me, then we'll do it. We were running all over the place for them 2. If you notice, them 2 don't do shows no more. They might be like 90 years old by now, but they don't do shows no more because they cut each other's throats so bad that they couldn't survive.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, because at the end of the day, since we are we have a very niche crowd, right, in the sport of monster trucks, because we're not NASCAR, we're not stadium supercross even, okay? Or the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series, we're a very small motorsport. We love it, and it has so much potential to grow. There's potential to be more Monster Jam caliber tours out there, but I see what you're saying, though, because we still need everybody to succeed at the same time for that reason alone. When you go canceling other tours out and striking other guys out, it's less opportunity for our sport to grow. So I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they need to also remember, too, like the smaller shows like that, those guys need freestyle motocross. Those guys need tough trucks. They need quad racers. They need all this stuff. And they don't want to pay nothing because the guys are like, well, this guy offered me $3,000 to go do this. Well, no, I'm only going to pay 2, but I can get you in on 2 of these shows. Well, then all of a sudden, like, man, we're going to make 4. Well, then they bomb the first one. They don't do the second one. Everybody gets burned. So it's Feld's got it as a 2-hour monster truck show, and now they're bringing back some freestyle motocross and stuff like that back. The little shows, any little show you go to, there's not really just monster trucks for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it hurts everybody. If you sit and really think about it, the whole industry is hurting because people are money hungry. And some of these guys have stuff booked out for a long time. And it's like, cool, they got it booked out, get it scheduled. Then you get someone else comes in, and it's happened for years. I used to drive a truck for the guy that did it, Paul Schaefer. Well, just go in and do a show before him. We don't care. I got money. And he would do it.
No, you're right.
Here's me and your father with him and his ride truck and us with I guess we're going to go do some plays. We're doing a show next week, So out of nowhere, we're going and doing this stuff. They're all going to cut each other's throats eventually.
So he mentioned about, promoters getting money hungry, Harley. I think you should talk about what we heard tonight before the show with a promoter being money hungry out in California.
Oh, we heard that apparently for the Monster Jam show that happened at the Staples Center, that they were asking for pretty ridiculous prices for their tickets.
This is the show that I'm assuming this is the one that Son of a Digger returned at this year.
Yeah, it was that show. I believe it was their first show back in California.
Yeah, and what were those prices for that little arena?
Apparently they were asking for like over $500 for a ticket to go to the Staples Center.
Get fucked. No, thanks. Jesus.
$500, BJ, to go to the Staples Center and see Son of a Digger come back.
And that is a tiny arena, a very tiny.
That's a lot of paint drying. That's a lot of paint drying.
That's a t-shirt idea.
What? That I'd rather watch paint dry than go to an arena show.
Monster Jam arena show.
Arena.
Ticket prices. And like I said, I don't get too far into all that stuff because I've always got to just tear stuff up and didn't worry about tickets. But I know some friends that went even to the shows we did in California, and tickets are ridiculous. The ticket prices, I heard ticket prices to even like the Arizona State Fair and all the little podunk shows they were doing like that were ridiculous. Yeah. I'm like, look, man, and I think the problem is, and I've seen this once before, is we're not going to fill the stands. So if we can get 1,500 people, and we double ticket prices, and we bring a big name truck in, we'll still make exactly what we need to make to sell it out. Because
Sure.
you guys can watch a video, and I can tell you right now, there ain't been no sold out, nothing. Nowhere.
Well, I'll tell you, there's been
No.
a few tours out there that are still doing pretty decent as far as getting asses in the seats. But what they are charging for the show, like you said, they might get one, big name truck in there, but these shows are so just horrible, right? And like we heard, this is news. This isn't anything that's a secret. Fox News out of Kansas City was reporting a few weeks ago, it was the very
Yeah.
first show that my brother drove at, that they oversold the show. Okay. They oversold all the tickets. So you had people online who bought the tickets, showed up, like, yeah, go stand in this line over here. We'll get you in. We'll open the gate for y'all. Y'all bought your tickets in advance. And they're letting all the people at the gates who bought tickets go in. And so all these people are in this line. They've now filled all the sins and they're like, yeah, sorry, can't do anything about it, and not refunding these people their money, man.
You talking about the Z Tour?
So here's a little, I'll say a little backstory for you. So, a lot of the ticket sale stuff, and I learned this later on, a lot of the ticket sale stuff are the promoters. So sometimes you have the big companies that own all the trucks, and then you have a person that's in that area that basically promotes the show for them. They're getting paid to promote the show. So we did a show in South America, and it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. Well, somehow it ended going from 3 shows to 4 shows. We were only scheduled to do 3 shows. So when we got done with the 3rd show, the crew guys were loading trucks up. We were changing. And as we left in the van, there was thousands of people outside this gate with armed security. We were in South America. And people were rocking the van, like protesting, like, what is going on? And we had a police escort to get to the hotel. The crew guys were having rocks thrown at them because they were loading the trucks up. And so some of the guys, you were there. Some of the guys that was in charge of us sat him down and says, look, you need to talk to the promoter. The promoter had sold a show that was not in the books, a 4th show that had nothing to do with us. And I don't know if he ran with the money or they couldn't find him or what was going on, but all these people had bought a ticket up front and people were waiting in line to come to a show. We were loading trucks. And then that was when their soccer team won, and then they burned the whole town down, and we just sat in the bar. People get shot with beanbag guns. So, I mean, that was pretty cool while we sat in the bar.
But this is one of those things, BJ. It was like being there as a crew guy, one of those guys getting rocks thrown at him, and seeing these fans actually freak out, like having mental breakdowns, because these trucks come here, once a year, every other year, right? And they just saved up enough money to get their kids in these shows, and they pull something like that. And that was awful to be a part of. It was like, man, I hate that rocks are being thrown at me, but it's like, I get it. This sucks. I hate that for these people. And then, like you said, they burned the whole town down that night anyways.
Yeah, because they won. I would have hated it if they seen they lost. So, yeah. And I said it a long time, and some people asked me, like, why do I always drive so hard? I didn't always drive so hard. I mean, I drove how I was supposed to drive for the independent guys, and then with Paul, I was driving however I felt that night. And then I told a story once before that we did a show in Kansas, and it was a Saturday night show. I was so hungover on Friday that I literally was throwing up at the starting line with my helmet on. Like, I pulled out and had the radio checked and leaned out the cab because I was that hungover, and I'm like, I'm losing first round. I'm going to do one hit and freestyle and lock the rear steer because I can do it in the cab. Pull off. I'm done. I don't feel like driving this thing. I'm sick. I did it to myself, but whatever. And we got done with the show. I did it. I just flopped the whole show. I was a headliner truck. I was the truck on the poster. It's like, nope, I'm done. Parked the truck, went to autographs, was sitting in autographs, and about halfway through autographs, big speedway show, about halfway through autographs, his family come through. And the guy said, the dad says, hey, I want you to meet my 2 kids, his little boy and little girl. And said, man, they just really wanted to see your truck. They're a big fan of the Barefoot truck. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, and just being rude. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I had a rough night. It just wasn't my night. It wasn't working out. I just wasn't feeling it. And the little girl was just like almost in tears. And she had drew me a little poster and she handed it to me. And she says, she goes, I just wanted to see you drive really good because I love that truck. For one, it broke my heart. Okay. So then I was just like, oh man, like I'm the biggest piece of shit in the world right now. And then she said, she goes, I saved all year to come to the show, all my birthday money, my Christmas, and I collected cans so my family could come. And I just like looked at the dad and he's like, yeah, both of my kids saved up enough money that our family could come to this. And I, me being blunt, I'm just like, I said, well, can you guys afford to come tomorrow? And he says, well, no, we saved for a whole year to come to the show. This is what it is. And I pretty much was like, you ain't going nowhere. Stay right there. I yelled at the promoter, told him I needed tickets. I got him to the next show, and I burnt that thing into the ground. I don't think there was one. I think I was missing 2 tires and no body and everything. And I did it for that little girl. And I always just, after that show, I was like, look, I'm an adult and I can do what I want to on my own time, but I'm out here for a reason. So I'm out here to make sure the fans get their money's worth. And after that little girl said that to me, I was like, I'm going to run hard no matter what. I had to play the game being a company guy, but I still ran really hard. But when you're independent guys, after that, it became the Schaefer Stuff team and the bigger assault tour, and it was just out of control. Me and my teammate burned them to the ground. We didn't care how much money Paul had. We were going to spend it all. But it was like that time and that point was, look, people pay hard-earned money. People saved. This little girl saved all year to come see me drive lame because I decided to party too hard on Jack Daniels the night before. So I'm going to make that up, and I got them taken care of. But there's still guys that got to run with their pocketbooks, and they can't always do that. You get them right back into promoting stuff. Hey, man, we're just going to jack ticket price up, and we're not going to have enough, and we're going to have this, that, and the other. All they're doing is hurting the fans. They're going to hurt them. Everybody's going to hurt themselves eventually.
So we must be striking a chord with people now who are listening. Monster Jam Jesus is saying, tell us more. And then we got Paige Johnson. She's at a Kiss concert right now, waiting for it to start.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
In the early 2000s, BJ, do you remember when Paul would have shows up in is it Portageville? Is that the town that he's close to? It was the fair show.
Indiana. Yeah,
the fair show, and he had the Kiss Army band there one year. And
we had the Kiss midgets there one year too.
Yeah.
Or you want to say the Kiss, like little Kiss or whatever you want to call it, but yeah.
There's a picture,
small people, okay, small people.
There's a picture of me, 4th grade Austin with my brother, and I think my little brother Cameron with my grandpa at this Kiss concert. They're right there, just right behind us. Yeah, the Kiss concerts with Schaefer Motorsports. So it's cool here. Paige is at a Kiss concert right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So proud.
But yeah, you're getting more comments saying, tell us more. Give us more stuff. We're like you said, this was the night of getting down with the dirty and letting out some secrets that's been going on in the industry a while. So what else you got? Because we're off to a good start right now.
Yeah, we're off to a great one. There's a good
start. We're 45 minutes into this thing, so
there's so much that we could talk about. So like an easy way of putting it is like Elliot with Throwdown. Okay, him and I are good friends. He's been killing it. His shows get out of control. They do some crazy stuff. He does what the fans want. He does cars. He does buses. He does all that. If you notice, Elliot backed it down a little bit, and some people were complaining. Now, the people that complain, which I call the keyboard warriors, man, you guys got to get alive. Like, you guys got to chill out. Okay, one, this is not your money that these guys are going out there and tearing their equipment up, because the shows that you are going to, if it's not a company-owned truck, it's coming out of the pocketbooks, okay? Like, the guys get on there like, save this truck and send it to the Hall of Fame. You can pull one out of the weeds and you're still $20,000 on that thing to go set it at the Hall of Fame. If you got 20 grand and you can find it on your keyboard that you're just typing away at, go for it, bud. But it's not happening, okay? You need to chill out. All right? Elliot sat and listened to these guys. You can tell he was just like, man, I'm getting ate up. What am I going to do? What people don't realize is, well, like, I call it the Hell Tour. I think Elliot does like 6 shows in 7 days or something like that. I don't know how the guy does it. He can barely see out his eyes anyways. He's half asleep driving down the road. I love him to death. But dude, you got to get some help, man, because like you're running ragged. But he listens to everyone. He knows he loves old school stuff. He loves old school wheelies and stuff like that. I mean, he loves Rap Attack. I mean, he loves what he's doing. He has a good time when he does it. Everybody loves doing their shows. So Elliot brought all that stuff back. Now, company-wise, and we'll just throw it right out there, I think that the higher-up people like presidents, vice presidents, all these guys that have done it for 35 years, cool, you've done it 35 years. It's old, man. No one wants to see the same thing and doing these pods and doing all this other stuff, and they don't want to take the time to clean the track. And they got to pay this, pay that, and we'll just put some dirt out there. Why don't you just put the whole bunch of hay bales out there and we'll just run those over so we can crush something.
Yeah, sure.
It's like do something. But it's like they're so set in their ways that it's my way or the highway. It's my way or we're not doing it. It's like, come on, man. I'm not saying to like let the keyboard warriors take over the world, but you got to bring something out because these little guys are running over the top of them. I don't care how many flagship trucks they got. If it's got a red headlight, a blue headlight, who's driving it, doing what, it gets old. It's like watching paint dry. Even the stadium tracks, you got to do something cool. I will tell you this, and I can't tell you any more than this. A little birdie told me today, if they pull this off, there'll probably be a pretty cool track at World Finals.
I heard this exact same thing. You're right.
Oh, did you know?
Yes, I did.
Yes. And I don't want to say more than that because if they pull it off, cool. And if they don't, then I'll come back on and we'll bash on them for it. But
No, I'll take it just one step further. Is that I guess somebody finally got the weed eater out up there at the Paxton shop and got the stadium course cleared out enough. I think they got the weed eater out with some Roundup, and they
Give a shout out there to Cooper Knuckles for cleaning.
Way to go, Cooper and Steve and Lexi.
Clean it up to the edge, but don't go into bean fields. Stay out of the bean field. Man, I got so tired of hearing that. Go out and ride Willie like 200 feet and see if you can stop in this small area, but don't go into bean field. I'm like, come on, man.
Hey, apparently this World Finals track is going to be nuts. They've never done anything like this before. Monster Jam. So here we go. We're getting started somewhere.
So this is the thing. They're going to do this really cool thing. If they pull it off and it works, really cool thing at World Finals. Cool. What about the other 700 shows you do?
Word.
It's like come on.
It's like one of the things that broke my heart the night of the kickoff shows. There was no announcements for new tracks.
Probably because they're going to keep them the same.
It's just going to be Chicago style and St. Louis style. That's all they're going to do.
Most likely.
Yeah. I think until they get some new people in a higher up situation, nothing's going to change. There's some people that need to retire. There's some people that need to maybe back it down and let somebody else make a call for a little bit. And I know they've got to be doing something if they're trying this at World Finals. But you can only do the same thing for so long. I mean, if it's like if you go and buy a white pickup, you go buy a white pickup, you go buy a white pickup, people are like, man, look, you're just driving that white pickup again. Change it up. It gets old. Look at Spence. He's like lumberjack crack. Change it up. Look how fresh he looks.
He's the brawny man tonight.
He's the brawny man. Look how fresh he looks sitting in the scenery right there. I'm waiting for a grizzly bear to walk by on his pet grizzly bear.
I'm waiting on Bob Ross to walk out of the background. There's some pretty trees back there, bud.
Yeah.
Talk about white pickup truck, Tweety. I think I remember us racing to work every day to some shitty Chevy on the way to the Feld shop every day.
That's right.
And you know what the best part? 314,000 miles later, it's still going. And I still
it's over 300,000 now.
Yeah, and I still win because I couldn't tell you how long Tweety's white Ford sat in my yard broke down.
Man, that is so funny that you even bring that up, though. I was thinking today, I was like, you know what? I would still be driving that son of a bitch right now if I could have just did something to that engine. Don't know what was the matter with that thing, why it did that inline six engine, which are well-known engines, but
the dumbest thing in the world.
Whatever.
But no, I mean, it's a thing of everybody loves this industry. It's an entertainment. Everybody loves to go to shows. Like my biggest fan, which is my mom, is the most heartbroken thing in the world because I don't get to drive. And then I had to literally tell her in Fresno, which I'm 20 minutes from home, please don't come to the show. It's the boringest thing you've ever seen. And I'm not going to drive like I drove as a company guy because the Swansons are great. And Rick says, man, I want you to step it up and run that thing. I could not do it. I could not just be like, I'm going to destroy this thing like I was in my company truck. There's no way. Eric and I drove those things off the track every single night. Didn't work on anything other than like Glendale was horrible. But we had a couple things break here and there and a couple things get twisted and we fix them and we help the Feld guys, or they come and hung out with us. It got to the point that they took so much fun out of everything that the guys are burnt out for one, because they haven't had a day off. And two, with COVID and this, that, and the other, and you can't be around people, I'm like, we are around each other all day. Okay? Like, we're not talking politics. We're not talking about what's going on in the world. We are around each other all day long. So it's like Rick Swanson stepped up and said, hey, I'm going to the store and buying them out in hamburgers and hot dogs and baked beans and whatever else. And he grilled out in the pit area for all the company guys. Everyone sat in our trailer like 10 years ago and hung out. Mm-hmm. It was the best thing in the world. Those guys were like, some of them have never done that. They were just like shocked that we were all hanging out together. It's like, there comes a point, you got to bring the fun back in it. Everyone's trying to have fun, but you also got a job to do. But you got to have a good time. The crew guys, I love every one of those guys to death, and every one of them has a different personality, and I got to treat them a different way. But those guys, I don't know how they do it. Put them raggedy trucks back together every single night, and when it goes back to the drivers walking out with their bag and like, hey, I'm going to leave it by the door. Can you throw it in the trailer? If those guys ever told me that, I threw it in the trailer, like literally, and I made sure it was where the truck was leaking oil. It's like, no. Camden Murphy, I'll call him out. That dude would destroy his truck, and I wanted to punch him in his little face when I was on the road. I don't know how many nose bars I put on that thing, but he would stay, or he would go buy pizza, and he would hand me wrenches and ask me what I needed. Me and John Fisher, and we put his truck back together every single time when I was a manager on the road or a foreman on the road. But Cam stayed. He didn't go to the lobby and have a drink. He didn't go out to dinner with all the drivers. He tore his truck up, and he was upset about it. And he stayed. He didn't know how to fix it, but he stayed. That meant everything to us. I mean, even the guys were just like, oh, man, Cam's cool. He hung out with us. And there was a lot of drivers that did that. And there's a lot of drivers now, they got to go check social media. They got to go see their pictures. They got to go post everything. It's like, yeah, your truck came out on 2 hooks in 2 different pieces. They just walk off. Oh, sorry. They walk off. I'm like, no respect. I'm like, you don't understand.
Spence, are you trying to origami some aluminum foil up there? What the hell's going on right now, bro?
I'm not even touching anything. I don't know what you're hearing. It's probably some twigs I'm stepping on in the background.
Yeah, possibly told, Ronnie, man.
He's driving the semi through the bubble factory again.
Before I forget, I wanted to give a special shout out to Four Wheeler Jock for sending us some footage this past weekend, man. You're so cool to do that for us. So thank you, sir. Man, what else were we getting into? We're at 52 minutes, but I think one thing that especially just take notice of going into this next year is you're probably going to see the exact same tracks at Monster Jam.
Yeah.
One thing that the smaller shows haven't, BJ, I know you said some of the stuff has been, borderline, sketchy and unsafe, but they're coming up with different ways to put on these shows. They're doing different stunts. They're jumping over trucks. Sometimes they're not successful and they're landing on top of other trucks, but it's something different for the fans. And they're flooding to these smaller shows, whereas we're seeing these footage of the Monster Jam Arena shows, and they are sad.
Yeah.
They're pathetic.
I think a bunch of these guys, the littler shows, are doing these small arenas. They're getting the arenas cheap because arenas haven't been able to do nothing all year. So there's a little arena show out here where I'm at in Florida. Shane England, they used to come out and hang out and do shows over there, and the Bounty Hunter crew will be out there doing it again. JR has been out there before. Beautiful arena. Like, it's nice. They do a rodeo once a year. And they do some barrel racing about once a month. Massive arena. And it's cool. They go and do their show. They're as safe as they possibly can be. They have the safety holds held. You don't sit down here. You don't do this. The guys know what they need to do. I've been to the show a couple times, and it's a fun little show. I don't think they're paying much for the arena, and that's where the little guys are stepping up and be like, we don't have nothing going on here. Everybody's got to make money. So the big arenas, the big stadiums, I mean, people don't realize – like a Feld show, you're $1 million in dirt and crew and stuff just to get it there.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
And then you get the keyboard warriors. They didn't tear up the truck for me, and I don't like the track. And there's like 100 of you together, and the other 70,000 had a good time. So it's like, come on, man. Those guys used to just drive me crazy. Like, just be bitter about it the rest of the night. Like, good, just sitting here on the computer writing all this stuff. And probably wasn't even at the show. He heard it from somebody that was there, It's like, get out of the basement.
Well,
we know someone that's in the basement.
It's in the forest.
Oh, he's in the forest. That's
He's
right.
camping.
Yeah.
He's camping right now.
That's
Didn't you
why
see the bear
there's-
walk by a little bit ago? There's a bear walking.
Yeah, it is
I
right
thought I
there. Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, before we get too carried away and more stories, Spence hasn't done a lot of talking. I think it's about that time of the show where we let him do some talking.
Time
no.
of the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. It's that time.
Upcoming shows with Spence. Mess it up, buddy. Mess it up.
Damn it. I was kind of hoping we were going to forget
And
tonight.
I'm on here tonight. We're live.
Damn it. Okay. We actually got quite a bit. First of all, thanks, John, Indie Monsters, for sending me the entire list. Appreciate it, buddy. So we're starting off with Accord, New York at Monster Trucks with a Z Tour. Also got Albany, New York with Monster Jam. Butler, Indiana, which is the Hall of Fame show. Our buddy Brandon Overmeyer will actually be there with his diesel truck. So if you're in the area, go check that out. Bakersfield, California with Monster Truck Thunder. Canfield, Ohio with Outlaw. I'll be there this weekend.
Nice.
Casper, Wyoming. I had to think about that for a second. I thought I'm like, wait, what's WY? Oh, that's not West Virginia.
Casper Whisper.
Anyway, Casper, God damn it, Wyoming was another Monster Trucks with a Z. Oh, damn it. Okay, we're not even halfway through this list. It's a Texas show. Corpus Christi. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Good
Okay. All right, we got Monster Trucks Wars. Oh, what the fuck is this?
Man, those learned read books are paying off.
I need to get my money back from Hooked on Phonics. I'm gonna say it's
You read it
pronounced
backwards.
pretty much. Corydon, Indiana, Full Throttle. Don't laugh at me. Help me out,
How
asshole.
do you spell it?
Corydon, Indiana.
You got me.
Just complete. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Corydon, Indiana, Full Throttle. Whatever. What the? Okay. It's in Louisiana. It's highlight. DeRider. Sure. DeRider, Louisiana.
Maybe just say the state that it's in.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, nah. Whatever. Anyway, Dover, Ohio, MTRL. Dublin, Georgia, whatever SC Madness is.
That's the show I believe my pops is announcing that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a hot rod
you-
show.
And then you have Durham, Connecticut, JMMP. Not entirely sure who that is. Elko, Nevada is Insanity Tour. Greeley, Colorado is Mega Monster Trucks Live. Greensboro, North Carolina, Monster Jam. Hampton, Virginia, Langley Speedway. I'm assuming this is just a Speedway show. It doesn't give me a sponsor. Hidalgo, Texas, Monster Jam. Did I get there? Did I get there? Hidalgo.
Hadaga.
Damn it.
Hadaga. If you say it fast, it won't mess up. Hadaga, Texas.
Anyway, Independence, Missouri, Toughest Tour, Lake Odessa, Michigan, All-Star, Manchester, Tennessee, MTRL, Mill Hall, Pennsylvania's Versus, Placerville, California, Malicious, and then San Diego, California's Hot Wheels. There.
San Diego, I thought was canceled.
Yeah, I thought that one was canceled.
Supposedly that show is canceled, and it has nothing to do with Hot Wheels. It has everything to do with the governor in California. So, yeah. Matter of fact, I thought I saw today on the Schnell's social media, they just got back to the shop. So I'm pretty sure it's not a show out there in California. The show in Independence, Missouri, that is the show for the Toughest Tour. And Tutaw will be there. It's his first ever Toughest Tour running against the big dogs over there. So we'll see him, Bailey Shea. Mark McDonald is wheeling Old Dumpy again. So that would be a show to watch for this weekend.
A cowboy in a dump truck. Well, that just fits, don't it?
Yeah.
So awesome.
Honestly,
It doesn't get any more American than that.
I think Tutaw's actually going to have fun at this arena tour rather than the crappy pod stuff that he's used to with Monster Jam.
Look, so you guys have not heard you guys talk about this. Old school, done it, I think, longer than I have. Pat Gerber has brought Shocker back out. And he's been running the California tour back out there. He's done 4 or 5 weekends with Terry Woodcock and a bunch of those guys, Sam Sturgis and those dudes been killing it. He's like Shocker's come out of nowhere. The last time I seen it was sitting on a trailer that had so much dirt on it you couldn't even tell what it was. And he's like, "Yeah, I probably need to get it back out." He has an open deck trailer,
Just
old
talked
school.
about that with
old
you
school
like
guy.
the other day. If you knew
Yeah.
what that truck was, he doesn't
You
know that
what?
truck.
No, you're
Is it-
right. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Is Shocker
Pat
the
Gerber.
weird blue, like, lightning
It
bolt
used to be
looking
the
truck?
blue lightning
Yeah.
bolt one. Yeah, when he crashed that, so him and his dad had built that body. Him, his dad, and Terry Woodcock, Sam Sturgis, those guys built it. One-off 3D body, never made a mold for it because Pat never crashed. But he always won every time we were out there. And finally rolled it over and crashed it, and they couldn't repair it. So then he put a old school S10 body on it because that's what he originally had. I think it's a little bit newer than what the one he originally had. But yeah, he's probably took 4 years, 5 years off, brought it back out, went all back through it, changed a bunch of stuff. has been killing it at shows. Like it's so cool because when Pat started driving, he was 14. So I was at Tough Truck shows when Pat was driving the monster truck, and him and I have been friends forever. Because I'm sure he's at the Bakersfield show. That's hometown for him. But yeah,
Nice.
Shocker's back. The old Shocker's back.
So, and something else that this just kind of reminded me. I guess, is it David Tucker with the T-Max truck? Is that right? Is it David
Yeah.
Tucker?
Yep.
I was told that they have been working on that truck, trying to get that thing back in good shape, and it's on its way. They're making progress over there. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I saw some pictures. Rick and Swanson and him were pretty good friends. We found out the day that he had to crash whenever we were at our show and sending the pictures. Everybody was okay. But they got a new body for it. They had to change a bunch of stuff around. The twins actually stepped up. Gronk twins went and picked everything up with their semi and got it home. And yeah, he's supposed to, I think, go to Santa Rosa or something coming up pretty soon. So it's cool. He's got to make a living. You know, just like we said, he's a little guy and doing his own thing, and especially with that crazy truck that he's got, and put it all back together, go for it.
That is definitely a one of a kind piece right there. And then also out there on the West Coast, Lee Plato and Shane Plato, the father-son race team, their operation is getting a little bit closer to being complete over there. Technically, they have 3 race trucks, but they're trying to get the second one complete. I think they've come up with an identity for the truck. I've seen some concepts for it. It looks sick. Looks really cool. What else we got?
Not much, really. We kind of went over the.
Bunch of shows we can't pronounce. That's cool.
Yeah, I did.
Hey,
my
I gotta
part.
say, tonight, Spence, you get an 8.5 out of 10. You did a pretty good job.
You did pretty good. It's
only missed a couple tonight, so it's fine.
lumberjacking.
It's that good old Michigan education. Right
We
there.
got a question for you, Dad. He said, BJ, which truck would you say was the absolute worst to drive to the point you wish it would go missing and never be seen again?
Good question.
Oh man.
Well, one truck I drove, and it's a really good friend of mine. He just didn't have a lot of money. We were running 2 trucks, and that was the truck to make money. The Shatter truck. The old Shatter truck I drove for Scott Anderson. He's one of my good friends, love him to death. But that truck was everything old shock setup, old chassis, old this, old that. And it was just horrible to drive. We laughed about it. Cody Saucier and I, the first time Cody met me, I was driving Shatter in Tacoma, Washington, and I jumped the truck and it knocked me out. I hit so hard it knocked me out, and I actually coasted over to the corner as they shut me down, and I rolled into the tunnel and stopped on my own. And when Cody jumped up in the cab, I was leaned over in the seat. And when I woke up, I turned and looked at him. He's like, "Hey, man, you all right?" And I was like, I just kind of looked at him. I had a neck collar and stuff on. I turned and looked at him. I said, "What are you doing in here?" And he goes, "I'm just hanging out." It's just Cody. That's how he is. You know, so, yeah, my wife, C94.
Explain what C94
Yeah,
is.
what's
I know what it
C94?
is, but what's C94?
C94 was the gas monkey truck. So my Mohawk truck, which was the old grinder truck, old John Seasock's old grinder, my Mohawk truck, you could do whatever you wanted that thing. It always was nice. It always landed good. Never had a problem with it. Never put a steer pump on it. Never did anything to it. I would crash it. She'd fix the body, and that was about it. Built a brand new truck. Built brand new everything. State of the art. The most expensive parts we had in the Feld shop put on it. Changed steering. Did these crazy setups for steering. Bigger ramps. Bigger this. Bigger that. Hated that truck. Hated it with passion. My wife would burn that thing to ground if I would let her, because if it could go wrong on that truck, it did. And it was just one of them problem child trucks that we could never get figured out. When I finally got it kind of somewhat figured out, Becky started driving it, which was Big A. And he went through a lot of it, and he had issues with it. But he talked a lot nicer to it than we did, so Big A, it liked Big A more than liked us, because the truck was cool looking and it worked and it performed, but every time you jumped, we would say it was a Kreml cry. So Frank Kreml used to say when you jump real big and know it was going to hurt, he would just cry in the air before he hit. So we always called it Kreml crying. So if you jump and you're like, you knew it was going to be bad. Every jump in that gas monkey truck was that way. It would knock every bit of wind out of your body every time you'd hit. It was just one of them things. It was it was a CRD chassis and the motor was slung real low, and my driving style and the way the motor was and weight wise, it just didn't work together. I don't know if it's because I put the big heavy duty parts on it and it flew different in the air or what, but it was cool. I loved my Gas Monkey truck, but I hated driving it.
That was actually
this question down here from
Which one?
Dims, I think is how you say.
Oh,
What's his name?
Dems?
Yeah.
Do you want me to pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead.
You're
Yes,
better.
please.
Dempsey. I don't know.
Dems.
That's an E, not an A.
But there's a little apostrophe right above the E.
Read this out, Harley.
Okay. It says, would you guys ever consider getting more drivers that worked with, I guess it's supposed to be Feld,
Yeah.
in the past and pick their brain on how they felt about their time with Monster Jam, kind of like what Scott Douglas does? I guess that's a question for us.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, would you bring more drivers on like me that
Yeah.
are just blunt in your face and just tell you like
Yeah.
this?
we like to. We just don't know who to go to because we
And
don't
some
know
of them you
who's
can't.
still in good terms.
I'll say it. Some of them you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
Mhm.
of them we can't.
Yeah.
Some of
We've
them are
actually.
some of them that comment on here all night long that wears an M on his clothes everywhere is as blunt as I am, is to the point.
Mhm.
And I know he can't come on here
Nope.
because he's just like I am. But he still has a ride and I don't. I don't
He
care.
he was asked to go on the Scott Douglas show, and he was told no, he can't. So it's like, well, there ain't no point in me asking at this point. He's not
So
going
when
on there.
he-
He's going
when
over
he
here.
when he used to be my teammate and he drove Metal Militia, love that dude because he's just like I am. And if we're at a driver's meeting and he don't like it, he's going to tell you like it is. I don't know how many high fives I gave him for that little skinny jean wearing thing. 100 pounds soaking wet, but he'll tell you like it is. I love him for it.
I think we'll definitely get more drivers on here coming up. See, we've attempted to have not just drivers, but some other people from the big company on here, and that got shut down real quick.
Yeah.
So let's just say that there's some things in the works. We're going to try to make that happen. So just be
Well,
patient.
if we're going to talk about former crew guys, what about Scott Phillips?
Oh,
Some guys like that.
you need to get him on here. So I work with him every day. A lot of people don't know Scott Phillips was Bryce Kenny's crew chief. Worked on monster trucks years. He actually works with me now at the welding shop that we work in. That guy is the most high-strung person. Like, if you have a butt connector break, you would think that the whole place is burning to the ground, and he can't light a cigarette fast enough, or slam an energy drink or whatever he's doing at the time to calm himself down. But he is the most passionate person and beats himself up to death. Him, Doug White, a couple of guys I always work with, they're very passionate with what they did. They love it. But there comes a time they got to get away from it family-wise and stuff, and that's what they're doing now. But, man, you want to talk about being passionate about a truck? Like, look at this side of it's all tore up. You go look at it and scratch the sticker. And I'm like, it's a decal, dude. Like, chill out. What are you wound up about it? They're not paying attention to the dirt guys doing this. I'm like, you own this thing? No. Your driver's going to go out and bust it in a million pieces, come out short on the back foot and tear the nose off, and you're worried about a scratch on the sticker? Yeah, it makes me look bad, and then throw something and walk away. 5 minutes later, come back. Oh, man, I'm sorry. It's okay. And it happens every day. I'm sorry, man. I just don't like my stuff being tore up. You need to get him on here.
Trying to see Scott's comment. I didn't know what his emoji, if it was him flipping you off or throwing this up. I just wanted to make sure.
That's the devil horns. That's us at work. It's funny where we work. Everybody knows if you go into Scotts Bay, which is building 2, or you go into my bay, building 1, and there's like hate breed or devil driver or maybe some metal stuff going on, pretty much leave us alone. We're not having a good day. Stuff's not going our way. That's the way the owners, and it's pretty bad when the owners look out, they look and they go like this, having a rough day? And I just look at them and I'm like, what do you think? Carry on. They just walk off. Yep.
Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. Just get the truck up.
So tomorrow we'll be flying in, BJ. We'll be hanging out with you, and I guess we finally get a tour of the Riding Dirty Inc. shop.
Yeah, that's where I'm sitting now. Got all the helmets and stuff on the wall. You guys take a bunch of pictures while you're here of everything that's here, and you can throw it on the next show. And I live in Riverview, so we'll see if Spence messes that up. You guys are out. He lives in Riverview, Florida. Florida was where
Do you
they
think
were
you
at.
can pronounce the old town that we used to live in Orlando area? Remember, we
Oh,
couldn't
no
we
way.
couldn't pronounce
Yeah,
it right.
No way.
The
I
Ultima
just need to
Springs.
get a
Yeah.
speakeasy for the next episode.
Yeah, I called it Altamonte, and
We
then-
both called it Altamonte.
and Matt Pagliarulo jumped all over me whenever I pronounced it like that. He's like, "You can't call it like that. People are gonna know you're not from around here when you say it like that." So that changed real quick. But I would love to hear Spence say that without hearing us talking about that first. That would have been good.
Yeah. No, just the thing, like we said, it's if you want a dirt episode, I'm ready anytime. Like we'll let it go for a while, and when everybody starts getting wound up again, and you can do this, you can do that, and tracks are doing this, tracks are doing that, I'll just come back on and be like, listen, this is what's going on. I don't drive no more. I got
No,
4 daughters
one more thing
now,
I
and got
wanted
tattoo
to
shop
hit
and
on
all
real
this other
quick
stuff going on.
before you sign off. There was one more thing I wanted to run by you. Was like, we announced all these drivers coming out. They're going to be driving this next first quarter, and without revealing names, I mean, is it true that some of these drivers actually don't know that they were going back to Monster Jam before those announcements were made?
So I'm really good friends with a lot of drivers, and I just sent some texts out. I was like, "Well, so you got a ride?" And I got back a lot of, "Yeah, didn't even know." Yeah, I think that the show would have been just horrible if they really would have talked to everybody and find out back who wasn't. There's a lot of people don't know what they're going to do. There's a lot of new rules. There's a lot of mandatory this, mandatory that, and a lot of people ain't down for it. So they're going to have to change ways of doing something, or if they don't want to change it, then they'll just go through the old Rolodex of the 900-something drivers they tested and stick somebody else in there. Because it's still entertainment. They still need to have somebody drive that truck, and they don't care if anybody's passionate about it or what's going on. So, yeah, it's got a schedule. Oh, do I? I love that one. It's like, man, you got a pretty sweet schedule. Schedule of what? And I was like,
You're probably not even watching.
Yeah, they don't even know what's going on.
didn't even know what was going on. Didn't even know anything about it. Like, what do you mean? It was like, there, and I screenshot him. Like, check this out. Oh, that's cool. I don't know.
I think, truth be told, they had so many to be announced on there. They had like, we got to do something. We got this. They probably won't mind if we throw their name out there.
They're like,
We
I
get
gotta
them
put,
excited.
yeah, I gotta put pictures up there of people. We just can't have it just blank for people.
Yeah, otherwise it would have been like half the lineups would have been filled up, honestly. And there's still a lot of slots missing.
Yeah.
How do you not have a driver for Gravedigger, BJ? How do you not have one for the Arena West Coast Tour?
I don't know. I think they need to figure out who's going to get the shots first and what people's lives are doing. Because I think that there's a lot of people that had some downtime that realize that maybe they need to be home with their families and not be traveling. So there's a lot of guys not knowing what they're doing. There's a couple drivers that I'm shocked that don't have a ride. I'll put it that way. Even a digger driver.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on there? But it's like, like we all have. I mean, like I said, Hardy's got a new baby sister. I got 4 daughters now, and it's like, no, I like being home. I like coming home every single night. I miss a lot of stuff being on the road. And that's a lot of things too. A lot of these people don't realize when you travel nonstop, you might have 2 or 3 days off. So you're gone from your family, you're gone from your friends, you're gone from your kids. So a lot of guys have been home throughout all this stuff and didn't have a ride. And when guys were doing, driving again after a year and a half. Well, after a year and a half of being home, you get real comfortable being home. And it's like, man, do I really want to go back on the road and do this again? A lot of people missed a lot of stuff. So they don't know what's going on, and that's normal. That's the way that place has been ran for years, and you guys work there and know the same thing I do.
There's a lot of people that got past the missing it. They're like, man, I just got to get back. I get on a team with somebody. They get past all that, and it's like, man, I mean, wasn't a whole lot to be missing, honestly. A lot of people are comfortable, like you said, being back home. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. This has been
absolutely awesome. Love it. I'm so glad it was on a Wednesday night. Kitty cat!
And found something in the forest over there.
Is that a mountain lion?
Yeah. Maybe you should change your scenery for a cat. Could have been in Istanbul or somewhere.
Right.
No, I think that's about it for the night. BJ, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Spence,
absolutely.
Thank you for rocking the wilderness and the brawny colors. We appreciate you and your cat. Remember, when in doubt, throttle out, throttleoutshow.com. Peace out, y'all. Good night.